everyone, welcome to today's video. Our first DIY is going to be a pumpkin trivet, and you can use either a large form or a small form. Of course, these both came from Dollar Tree. Today I'm going to use the large one. I'm going to go ahead and remove the hanger and the bow and use these split wood beads that I got from Amazon. They are linked below. I'm going to use all three sizes for the trivet. I've laid them out and now I'm going to use some Gorilla Wood glue to glue them to the form. Trivets are used to place hot items on, such as pots and pans, or a hot coffee pot, or a hot tea kettle. And as these beads get hot over and over again, they will start to turn a darker color and give the trivet more character. Now that that is done, I'm going to turn it over and use some of the medium-sized beads to create little feet for the trivet. And making trivets is so versatile, you can use whatever shape you like. So here it is. With the feet on it, it makes it much easier to pick up. And now I'm going to put a hanger back onto the trivet so it can be placed on a hook and out of the way when it's not used. I'm just using a piece of jute cord from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to place a couple of dark colored wooden beads on the top of it just to give it a bit of an accent. And it's ready to go. This would make an awesome gift. Our next DIY is going to be a fall candle. Using this DIY candle making set, also from Dollar Tree, and this pre-made candle from Dollar Tree. In the candle making set, you get 3 different packets of scented granules. We won't be using those today. And you also get a glass candle jar complete with the pre-waxed wick. It's hot glued at the bottom, so I'm just going to remove it and remove the piece of hot glue and set it aside. Then I'm going to take this piece of decor off the candle as well as the label. I'm going to place it in the empty candle jar, and I set my oven at 175 degrees. I placed the candle on a piece of parchment on top of a cookie sheet, and you can see it start to melt. And I needed a bigger candle jar, but it's okay, the parchment caught it all. This is the glass container that I'm going to transfer the candle to. I removed the label from the bottom, and now I'm ready to hot glue the wick to the center of this little glass jar. And I also picked this jar because it is sort of shaped like a pumpkin with the ridges on the side. I use a pair of scissors to help push down the hot glue and make sure it has a good seal. Now I'm going to take some burnt umber acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint the top of the jar to resemble a stem. Now I'm going to take Waverly chalk paint and celery and a white acrylic paint on a fan brush, and I'm going to distress that top to make it look even more like a stem. And that's how it turned out. I'm going to use the little rope that I took off the original candle and wrap it around the very top part of the candle jar. This is how the candle turned out after I poured it into the new jar and cooled it. You can see that there's no tunneling because the original candle was melted at a low temperature for a long time. It took about 2 hours for the candle to completely melt. Now I'm going to take this leaf jute string. I found this at the 99-cent only store last year, and I'm going to wrap it around the top part of the jar. And that is going to be sort of the pumpkin vine. And our candle is almost done. There's just one more thing that I want to add. I'm going to take one of these file folder labels from Heidi Swapp. I picked this up from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to label the scent of the candle as orange spice pumpkin. And now our newly packaged orange spice pumpkin candle is all set and ready to go. Our next DIY is going to be a buffalo check and rope pumpkin, similar to these pumpkins that I made in my last video. I'm going to take one of the velveteen pumpkins from Dollar Tree, remove the covering and the stem to get to the little foam form underneath. Now I'm going to take some of this Dollar Tree rope, and I wanted to show you it's a smaller type of rope than this larger one that we're used to seeing at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take a large buffalo check pet bandana to wrap the form with. As I did in my previous pumpkins that I made in this style, I'm using very little glue, and I don't have to cut the bandana at all. I'm going to cut pieces of the rope down to size and hot glue it down into the little divots that are in the foam form. And once that's done, I'm going to take a wooden stem from Dollar Tree and hot glue it right into the center. To help cover up the place where you can see where the stem starts, I'm going to use a little shoelace bow that I made from Dollar Tree fall ribbon and place it right at the base of the stem for a seamless look. And our rustic little pumpkin is done. For our next DIY, I'm going to make a farmhouse fall sign using this sign from Dollar Tree. It comes on a wire hanger, so I just untwisted it, and I'm going to put on some small wooden beads that I already had, and I got those from Joann's Fabric. Dollar Tree also sells small wooden beads. You can find those in the hair section. And once I have it to the length that I want it to be, I'm just going to retwist the wire to the little hook and then cut off the excess. And that's how the hanger turned out. Already the sign looks so much better with just that one change. Dollar Tree has these fall sun catcher kits, and this one has this little truck with pumpkins in the back, and it also has this double stacked pumpkin. These are some of the coloring gels that come in the kit, and it comes with this applicator tool as well. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in both the truck and the pumpkin. I'm curious to see how they turn out, and if they turn out well enough, then I will add them to the sign. These do, however, take a long time to dry, so I was able to work on more projects while it dried. I'm going to take some of this lace ribbon that you can find at Dollar Tree in various colors. I'm using the white one, and I'm going to hot glue it around the edge of the sign. And I think it just gives it a little extra something, even better than just painting the side. The lace just gives it another layer of texture and visual appeal. I made a little bow using some Dollar Tree ribbon, and I'm going to hot glue that to the top center of the sign. This is how the little truck turned out, and because it's a sun catcher, it has that little hanger at the top, and I just used a pair of pliers to cut that off. And that's how it looks. And I wasn't sure where I wanted to use it, so I kind of played around with where I was going to put it, and you will see at the end what I decide to do. The next DIY is going to be a farmhouse wagon, and I'm going to start with 3 pieces of these wood planks from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue them together using some Gorilla Wood glue and reinforce it with a little bit of hot glue. Now I'm going to take another plank and cut it down to size to cover the ends, and then use Gorilla Wood glue to glue those together. So here we have the wooden box, and I have 2 of these large drawer pieces. These are the pieces that the drawer inserts go into. So I'm using the larger pieces, and I'm going to use more wood glue to glue them to the ends. While that dries, I'm going to take apart this home sign that I made from a previous project, and I'm going to use those to cover up 2 sides of the wooden box. Now I'm going to take some of the whitewashed wood paper from this activity pad from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cover the top part of the back of the sign using Mod Podge. And this is so when you are looking at the inside of the wagon, you don't see the ugly back of the sign. It'll look like wood because of the activity paper. And then I'm going to paint that edge white so that it matches. After I do that, I'm going to paint the inside of the box with white chalk paint, And I also covered up the two ends of the box with the activity pad paper. When the Mod Podge dries, I'm going to use some clear Gorilla Glue and glue the boards to the box or to the body of the wagon. And these two boards are the Heidi Swap faux wood pallets from Dollar Tree. I clamped it and taped it until it dried. While it does dry, I'm going to take 4 of these flying propeller toys from Dollar Tree, and I only want the propeller part, and these are going to be the wheels for our wagons. So I'm going to take them outside and spray them with this forged hammer antique pewter spray paint from Rust-Oleum, as well as this copper rose metallic paint also from Rust-Oleum. While those dry outside, I'm going to take some letters and paint them black, and it's going to read EST for established, and then I have the numbers 1804, and those will be on the side of the wagon. Now when I took the tape off, this is what happened to the ends, so don't do that. So I cut 2 new pieces of the activity pad paper and used more Mod Podge to glue them to the ends. Now I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from the bottom on each side. These are how our wheels turned out, and I wanted them to just look like they were going to have a little bit of rust on them. I didn't want them to look entirely old. And then I'm going to drill into the little marks that I made on the side of the wagon. I used the largest drill bit that I had, and it wasn't quite large enough for the little peg on the back to fit all the way through to the board, but it did fit in enough to be stable and still. So I decided to use some Gorilla Wood glue on the end of the peg and push the little wheels in. And this is how the wagon looks so far. These are some leftover pieces from a previous project, and they actually come from these Dollar Tree home signs. And I'm going to glue them together. There are 2 long pieces and 1 short piece. And this is going to form the little pull for the wagon. And I glued them together with hot glue. Once it dried, I painted the whole thing black. This is just black acrylic paint. And I found this Farmhouse magnet at Dollar Tree. I decided to distress it a little bit. And I'm going to use this to accent the wagon. While that dries, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the letters on, as well as the numbers. Then when the magnet is dry, I hot glued it to the center, and now I'm ready to glue the little wagon pull on. You can either have it right up against the wagon or out a little bit. I decided that I wanted to have it out a little bit. So I'm going to use a combination of clear Gorilla Glue and hot glue to attach it to the wagon. Then I took a little white acrylic paint on a fan brush and distress the letters and numbers. How do you guys think this pumpkin trivet turned out? It's such a practical gift, and you can make one for every season. And with a little hanger, you can hang it up and out of the way when you're not using it. It's large enough to fit a large pot or a small tea kettle. Here's our orange spice pumpkin candle, and I love this packaging. I think it's much more seasonal and it gets you more in the mood for fall. I also wanted to put it in a jar with a top so that when you're ready to extinguish the candle, all you have to do is to put the top back on instead of blowing it out and having the smoke fill up the area where the candle is. Here's our cute little rustic pumpkin. And now I have a nice set of 3 with this beautiful buffalo check and rope pumpkin. Here is our farmhouse sign. And as you can see, I made 2 of the pumpkin stacks and added them to the picture. Let me know what you think. Should I take the pumpkins off or leave them on? Comment below, let me know what you think. And my favorite project out of all of these has been making this wagon, mostly because I did not know I was going to make this wagon when I started putting those wood planks together, but this is how it turned out. It's so cute, it's so adorable. You can make it as rustic as you want it to be. The only caution that I have for you is to be careful not to put anything too heavy in it because it will make the plastic wheels sort of flatten. Thank you so much for joining me for today's videos. I hope you enjoyed these DIYs. If you did, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more seasonal DIYs. I hope you all are taking care and staying safe, and I will see you in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.